Greetings! Welcome to the devlog for hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades. We're going to start as always with a quick sound check. Make sure your speakers aren't up too high. Wonderful. So what have we got for you this week? Well, we have a first alpha for Update 85. It's not super thematically coherent. It's primarily here because I wanted to get some fixes up onto the alpha branch, a new toy or two, and the beginnings, the very rough draft of some exciting changes for Take and Hold that include a new character or two. But let's start off with our new toy. As I was working on the new characters for Take and Hold, one of which is a sort of World War II era character, I was working on my object pools, my sort of equipment lists, and I realized that a couple things were a little thin in that area. One of them being tube-fed shotguns that are in the sort of like 1905 to 1940 sort of range. And so I have for you today this beauty, the Hammerless 520. Let's grab ourselves some shells, load this up. Oh, just gorgeous. Oh, take the safety off. Oh, absolutely beautiful piece. Oh, dropping things here. You can see how out of practice I am after this holiday break, which, as I mentioned last video, was mostly me being sick. Oh, beautiful. But to go with it as well, especially because you know me, I love chopping guns. We've got another variant of it that is chopped on the rear end, a little shorter in the front, and has these wonderful little shell holders. Beautiful. Oh, take that off safe again. Wonderful. Pop one in there. Shut it like so. We can pop these out to load it. Wonderful. Delightful. So we got that. Let's go ahead and jump over to the proving ground, and I'll show you something else that was added that ties into the Take and Hold stuff that I'm working on. So, coming on over here into the proving grounds, one of the other things that I've been slowly trickling in is a couple more Sosa guns, in part to sort of fill out tactical categories for the Sosigs, which is relevant to all of the progressions that exist in Take and Hold. Two of them are, we now have some Sosa gun PDWs. We have an MP7. Fires quite fast, as you can see, and a P90. To go with that, we have three of my, well, most hated guns. We have the DP12, which you can see racks after being fired twice. Up, there we go. Oh, something's up with the spread on that thing's projectiles. I will have to fix that. There we go. We have the Mark 14 EBR. Oh, do we got anyone else to shoot? And finally, we have the fugly F2000. Is there anyone left to shoot? Yep, there is. So, when playing in Take and Hold, you should see a little more weapon variety. And I'll discuss exactly what the details of those changes after we jump out of VR. Anywho, let's go ahead and jump over to the Take and Hold scene and take a look at our new characters. So, we're over here in the main menu, and you'll notice that a few things are being rearranged. The first thing is that because of the fact that I'm going to be adding a whole bunch more characters, I wanted to try to compress the total number of unique scoreboards per character. And so you can see now here at the top, for our options that cause a different scoreboard to appear, we are now going to actually only have 2 times 2 times 2, so 8 scoreboards per character. Game length, 5-hold standard versus this will be named marathon. Spawn lock enabled versus limited ammo. Health mode standard, which is half of meaty. It's basically a little tougher than armored. It's, I think, the same amount of health you start with in Rotwieners, and is a good balance between being more durable than playing on some of the harder modes, but not, health matters a lot still, especially even at the upper end. Versus hardcore, which is 1 hit, and custom. What custom does is it will allow you to set your health more manually, including a new mode called nigh invulnerable, which is like if you basically never want to die and just want to run around shooting things. But in this case, global scores will be disabled. And this will help compress people onto a smaller number of boards, because we're now going to have, especially over the course of the next couple months, a whole bunch more characters. So yeah, so that's the change that over there. Over here, if we look at our characters, you'll see for now I have removed 2 of them. Melee mode Maurice is going to be rethought, and Akimbo Pistols Parker is kind of redundant because in classic loadout Lewis, you can grab another pistol basically at the first supply point pretty reliably. So over here, we have a new category called Wieners Through Time, and this category is going to be characters that are grouped by weapon era. So we have Grumbly G.I. Grayson, I don't have pictures for him yet, Cow Wiener Calico, and Operator Ori. And so we've basically got a mid-century character, so think like 1905 up to 1945 equipment-wise. Cow Wiener Calico, which is going to be like 1860 up to about 1905, 1907, and Operator Ori, which is like basically 1950s onward equipment-wise with a bias towards the really modern stuff. So yeah, so let's go ahead and jump in and see what these feel like. I'm going to play just the beginning of them so you can get a sense. I might edit this up a bit once after recording it so I can cut out the sort of dead moments here. So we're going to jump into the World War II one first. I'm going to play a hold, fight a bit, and then we're going to do the Wild West one. Here we go. Don't embarrass yourself.
Uplink successful. Target system detected. Take it.
That totally should not be in that era pool. That should be a little more modern with that color red. 1911 to start. Super fitting. What you should expect for the progressions in the World War II mode is starting out with pistols and revolvers, break-action shotguns, SMGs, and then bolt actions may actually show up before SMGs based on your specific pool. The whole idea basically being to restrict high-power automatic weapons towards the mid to tail of.
Please don't tell my parents what I do to pay the bills.
The progression. And we're good.
Override token found.
Grab our token. Don't need our health. And let's see. That would be another low-capacity pistol, which I don't need. I can reload this one plenty fast. So let's head on over to the hold. Hopefully we can get a better look at our World War II SOSICs. I love how they look. There's a... Oh, he saw us.
Over there.
Oh, we didn't get a good look at him. Oh well, maybe here. And let's go.
Interfacing with system node. Hold this position. Analyzing system.
Check this out.
extracted. 3 override tokens found. Advance to next system node and take it.
I think we got a patrol nearby. Yeah, so that gives you an idea of the fact that I am going to send at you, say, lightly, one SMG SOSIG per wave before you have access to them. So you're going to be a little behind the power curve for large portions of this mode to compensate for the fact that the SOSIGs are not wearing any body armor other than helmets. Let's see if we can grab one so we can take a look at them better. He's gonna see us. Blast it. Oh.
Action.
There we go. This is what one of them looks like. Isn't he fancy looking? He's got his World War II style pack. Oh, is there someone else around here? Well, you don't need this anymore. Oh. That was dumb to shoot. They didn't even hear me. Helps to shoot them other places than the legs. Oh. Man, and our supply points are being mean to us. Still just low cap pistols. Let's see if the other one has anything.
Interfacing with system node. Hold this position. Analyzing system.
Got screwed on equipment.
Static encryption detected. Neutralized. Encryption neutralized. Advancing to next system layer. Analyzing system.
Well, I got wrecked. So let's go ahead and try the cow wiener calico one. You're gonna love your starting equipment for this character.
Uplink successful. Target system detected. Take it.
So, for this character, you will always start with a pistol that is in the sort of pocket category. So 22 5mm Bergman sort of your emergency backup, and a single action of some kind. So when you're using one of these, proper setup of your quick belt is really, really important. So this is a 7-shot, so I want to make sure that I put 7 rounds in that. And you're basically just going to hold this against here and tap right on your touchpad or joystick. Always have it cocked in the holster, and you'll notice I don't start you with a melee weapon, so you really actually have to use the firearms. And what you're going to find out playing this mode is you have to fight kind of like an actual gunfighter from this era, which is have a bunch of already loaded firearms ready to go, which we're going to have to collect here. So this is one of the few modes where actually picking up a second or a third handgun of a type, especially if you luck out and it's the same gun, so it can take the same ammo, is actually quite effective. Oh! What a dapper hat. Oh, goodness! He wasn't paying attention. Grab his little 2-shot Derringer there. Let's go ahead and empty this out. And what I do is I tend to use the pocket pistol
Override token found.
for opening these quickly, at least in the beginning. So we can either get another pocket weapon, which is what the horseshoe stands for, a pistol stock, or power-up. So I'm just going to save. Let's try our first hold here. As I said, fighting with single-action pistols can be quite nerve-wracking. I'm going to go in with the Bergman, even though it's not super effective.
I always get the worst shift.
Oh, shoot.
Huh?
Oh! Let's draw him out.
What's over there?
Ah! Ah!
Oh, goodness.
Clicking the wrong buttons. He's not very good at it either.
There.
Oh. Thankfully, the first Sosigs you're fighting on this mode only have 2-shot Derringers, so it gives you a little bit of time to get used to your, let's say, limited arsenal. Oh, let's try not to embarrass ourselves. Derringer time.
Interfacing with system node. Hold this position. Analyzing system.
Wait, it's a tiny pistol.
Huh?
Ah, terrible.
Huh? Here.
Let's take this moment to reload.
Pathogen detected. Neutralizing.
Get it. Oh, it's over there.
Ah. Nothing!
Neutralized encryption for system hack. Encryption neutralized.
That was embarrassing.
Hold successful. Data extracted. 3 override tokens found. Advance to next system node and take it.
But, much like your weapons, their weapons don't do a ton of damage out of the gate. You gotta watch out for the gunfighters that have a stiffer pistol. But the Derringer guys in the first hold Won't kill you dead, but very fast. But as you can see, we lost more than half of our health flubbing things there. Much as it's a little embarrassing to have you folks watch as I choke in a situation like that, I feel it's just as important that people watch
Terrible coding mistake.
quote-unquote realistic gameplay and realize that, yes, sometimes you will just panic. He's got cover. Ah! Terrible! Gotta watch out for their shots.
Huh?
They got trapdoor rifles.
Darn it!
Only one shot, but
Check this out.
they'll take a...
Huh?
Oh, goodness!
Coordination.
Good.
Override token found.
Get that health. Load it up there. Ooh, we can finally get a break action. Good stuff. Absolutely worth 4 points. Oh, blast it. I forgot. I'm still in the process of implementing, shall we say, oh, goodness. Period-specific ammo. I don't have the code for that in yet. So when eventually you're playing this, you will not get Freedom Fetty ammo. But, whoops. I forgot to do it, which of course means the game had to give it to me as punishment. Don't sleep on it, though. It actually is quite good. Close range. Oh, did I not? I didn't spawn lock my shell. That was dumb. Ooh, can we get a different kind of ammo? Of course.
Override token found.
This is one of those ways in which the games you make torture you. So I could make a decision here. I could get myself a bayonet, which would allow me to turn one of these weapons into a pretty effective melee weapon, or get another single action revolver. I think I need to pick the bayonet. Perfect. Wonderful. All right, let's head off to the hold. Actually, we'll use this for breaching.
It's a little lonely out here.
Oh no, we're gonna be at mid-range.
Darn it! Oh, shoot! Why the long face? What a jerk.
Interfacing with system node. Hold this position. Analyzing system.
Shoot! Come on, fries with me! Oh, my goodness. Over there. Huh? Oh, it's
Stand
Blast it!
darn it!
Still not down! Oh, got me. So, as you can see, that is still a little too difficult. But I wanted to start from a place of it being too difficult and tone down and find the right things to tone down, instead of it being like stupid easy and having to figure out dumb ways to make it harder. So, anywho, I'm exhausted, so let's jump out of VR now and talk about, in a little more detail, what's changed. Yo! So, now that we're out of VR, before we jump onto the game, no, all that stuff did not get, thrown away or anything. It is just being moved to what is now going to be the Warhammer room. So, anywho, to the game. Just to go over in detail some of the changes that are in this alpha. And first off, this is all very much a rough draft. As you just saw me get my butt handed to me in those modes, these have not been balance tested yet. Taken Hold is always this incredibly narrow balance range that is related to the speed that enemies spawn, the number of the directions they come from, the number that can be alive at once, and what they're armed with. And the difference between, oh, this is trivial, oh, this feels right, and this is overwhelming, I die every time, is shockingly narrow. And it relates to the average capacity of the firearms that you're armed with, how long it takes to reload them, and the damage output of the enemies. So you shouldn't take anything with either the revised standard progression that is in here now, or the new ones for our GI and for our cow wiener as final. They're not even close. I've barely spent any time playing them because I've spent most of the time leading up to this doing all of the metadata definitions and tying everything together and making sure they spawn right and killing bugs with that. So, to talk in a little more detail about what the sort of goals with them are, as I said, with the World War II Taken Hold character, the idea is because you're no longer going to be fighting sort of really spongy enemies from an armor standpoint, it's going to be compensated for the fact that they've got a little more offensive firepower. Especially once you hit the sort of mid-range of that, when you start getting sort of squads where it's like two Sosigs with Garens and one with a bar sort of thing. They've got a lot of offensive output, so you have to use cover a lot more intelligently, I would say, in this. Because of the fact that you've got those sort of like high caliber, you take a lot of damage per discrete hit weapons that start spawning about halfway through the 5-round progression. As for the, let's see here, as for the Wild West one, that one, as I said, I'm still tuning because in part I've never, despite all of the time that I've worked on, Taken Hold, I haven't actually spent a ton of time playing it with quote unquote terrible guns, i.e., as you saw that loadout there, like a Bergman pocket pistol, a Nagant revolver, and like a Wells two-shot break action that you have to manually cock the hammers on. It's a lot to juggle, and so that progression probably needs to be toned down a bit for that second hold, the amount of them that can be active at once, because you can get sort of overwhelmed by them. But yeah, so there's still a lot to do with it, but I find these modes really, really exciting. It makes every shot that you take really count, especially because of the damage changes that I made back when I was working on Rotwieners, where if you're wondering when watching the video, like, oh, you hit them in the head a lot of times with a pistol caliber weapon and it doesn't kill them. Part of that has to do with the fact that some of the weak weapons, like the Bergman one, have very little muzzle energy. Like, there are modern pellet guns that actually deliver more muzzle energy to a target than a Bergman pocket pistol or a Volcanic did in their time. So they're deterrents or stunning weapons. They're not actually really good for dropping targets, unless in the case of the Bergman, you manage to land like 4 or 5 consecutive center of mass headshots with it. Also, the difference between a center of link and a even off by like 20% grazing hit is pretty significant with the pistol caliber ammunition, which has more of an effect when you're having to manually load every shot through a loading gate. And so really this mode privileges precise usage and good preparation on your quick belt slots. But I love it, but I know some of you are going to try to just be like, Anton! So, but the progression of weapons for that starts at like pocket and single actions, advances to like break action shotguns. Then in the mid-range you get access to various types of lever action and pump action shotguns. And then at the upper end you get a few bolt actions, and you get the Model 8 semi-auto, which in certain ways is like the best weapon in this mode because of how quickly you can reload a clip-fed weapon and the fact that it's semi-auto. So the Model 8 absolutely wrecks compared to, in terms of just like damage per minute, we'll say, compared to most of the other weapons of this era. And there's, over the course of the next year, or really I would say probably like the next 4 months, you're going to see me focus on adding extra firearms that fit really nicely into these eras. I'm going to be prioritizing in many ways weapons that are about like, oh, this is a specific pool of weapons that spawns for one of these characters that I'd like another 1 or 2 of, whether it's a lever action, whether it's a shotgun of the specific era like the Hammerless 520 I added this week, just to make those sort of pools and options in the object constructor more interesting. So yeah. Beyond that, yeah, just a couple miscellaneous fixes. So you know, some bug fixes from sort of leftover from Meatmas. But anywho, I hope remember. Oh, for those of you who are recently following the game and this channel because you picked it up over the holidays or what have you, these types of releases, when it says alpha and then some number, it means that it's not going on to the main branch of the game. To access this, you have to right-click the game in Steam, go to Properties, then go to the Betas tab, click that drop-down, and select Alpha1, and that will swap you over to the Alpha branch, which will give you access to this. Note that these are sometimes less stable, or they have incomplete features or have broken something because I'm actively working on something and need some feedback. So if you ever run into a sort of blocking problem or missing something that's disabled in the alpha, you can always switch back until it sort of pushes in a major update. An example in this case is while I work on Take and Hold, in this build, all of the score tables have been disabled because it just doesn't make sense to until I retune and rebalance them. I don't want these polluting the score tables of the mainline game. So yeah. Anywho, I hope you are excited that we're back and slowly adding in things now that the holiday period and the long plague that I suffered through are over. As I mentioned in the roadmap vid, it's going to be sort of slow and chill with this. I'm not racing to get this all the way to a finished update at any specific time. I want to take my time and get feedback from you folks and tune the difficulty for these new Take and Hold progressions, as they will inform the sort of range of things that I'm going to do going forward with the mode. So that just about does it. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you soon. Peace.